So, the Sun Vanished short film came out. Let's talk about it.
The darkness is closing in now.
In case you haven't heard of what the Sun Vanished is, here's a quick summary. Mysteriously, on April 30th, 2018, a Twitter account known with the name The Sun Vanished had posted a video of them seemingly watching the news only to see a report that the sun had suddenly disappeared. The original Twitter story has our protagonist try to survive in a world where aliens have most likely blocked out the sun. To make sure Earth won't freeze, aircraft flies over the planet, creating waves of heat. There are creatures called strobes who try to look for humans by detecting motion with a white light. If they found a human, the light turns red. The goal of these aliens is unknown, but it's clear that they're able to turn humans into slaves of some kind once they stare into the red light. The Twitter story has last left off on the main character directly encountering one of the strobes and killing it. I'm not going to go too into detail about the Twitter story, but I really recommend you read it for yourself. It's actually pretty enjoyable seeing it all in one piece and not having to wait 4 months just to get 2 or 3 tweets. The short film follows the main character named Sky, and there's also this other guy called Q, but we'll get to him in a second. We start the film right off with shots of her repeating the same phrase. It's never explained what Sky is talking about here. The only thing I can think of is that it has something to do about her relationship with Q, which if that's the case, it wasn't really clear. We get a few establishing shots and then we see Sky in her bedroom. After some Netflix-looking sequences of her getting ready and writing in the notebook we saw at the beginning, she makes her way to stop on some train tracks. We get a pretty intense scene of her sobbing while the train gets louder and louder, coming closer and closer. Then we cut to a black screen. And this never comes up again! I have no idea what it means or what it's trying to show us. It's just really confusing. I don't understand it. Finally, we get to what we came here for. We see the same clip of the protagonist from the Twitter story watching the news. The sun has just disappeared, and now we're in a survival situation. Returning to our main characters, Sky is talking to someone on the phone who we learn is her presumably ex-boyfriend Q. They both hear some strange sounds and eventually think, hey, maybe I shouldn't be out here while it's the end of the world. I'm gonna go run inside. And she does so in the most awkward way possible. Once she gets to the house, the two of them suddenly start arguing before looking at the Sun Vanished Twitter account. They have a quick debate on what's taking over the world right now before a strobe comes in and answers that question for them. After a pretty good confrontation scene, we're eventually back to watching these two argue. This happens constantly throughout the film. A bit of action and then relationship drama. Sky throws a flashlight to distract the strobe and it looks like it worked. Once that threat's done with, she quickly resumes her argument with Q, which clearly is the most important thing in the world right now and requires all of her attention. After a kiss scene that cleverly shows some sun-like lighting, the film ends when Q tells Sky that they should leave the house. Then we get a credit sequence that takes up 1/4 of the runtime. I hinted at this several times in the last section, but seriously, I flat out do not understand why the film takes so much time on exploring this relationship that frankly no one really cares about. This doesn't make much sense no matter what audience perspective you take. People who already know about the Sun Vanished are looking for something that provides clarity on the things that the Twitter story glossed over, such as what the goals of the aliens are, who leads them, are people trying to fight back? People who are completely new to the series are bound to just be utterly confused by the whole film. It fails to explain the sudden jump from a Netflix-style teen drama to sci-fi horror. The constant switching between tones sounds like it could have worked as a unique scene in a movie or a pre-established TV show, but definitely not an entire short. I feel like the creator really wanted to practice the show not tell rule here, but the problem is there isn't an explanation to half the things that happen. A new audience has barely any idea what's going on. I've watched this film quite a couple times now and I still can't figure out seemingly crucial plot points. Visually, however, the film does deliver. The lighting is well done and overall has a clean look to it. Aside from a few things at the beginning, nothing here comes off to me as amateurly shot. The handheld camera angles are really nice too. To clear something up before I get comments about it, I know that this is a
proof of concept.
but a proof of concept still needs to prove, well, a concept. The only thing I can get from this is that Aiden Elliott knows how to light a scene correctly. The team behind this wants to push this out as much as possible in order to get a feature film or a TV series out. While I wish them the best, I highly doubt any executives would want to pick this up. My reason for saying this isn't outright because the film isn't that good, it's that The Sun Vanished just isn't as popular as it used to be. Look under any recent tweet and you'll see people constantly saying the same things about how the story has gone on too long or that there's too much time in between tweets to stay interested. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how artistic your creation is. If you want a big studio on board with you, it's gonna have to make them money. Relevance is very important to these kind of studio decisions, and unfortunately, this short doesn't have that, nor pure quality going for it. I would have loved to have been wrong on that, but my suspicions were basically proven right 11 minutes in. I really enjoyed the Twitter story. It was something that always came back to my mind once I received notifications about it. I was actually pretty excited to hear news about this film, but I always kind of expected it to be subpar. One last thing I wanted to mention here is that the acting felt a bit odd at some times. The dialogue definitely felt hard scripted, and characters just spoke in strange ways sometimes. I absolutely don't blame the actors as they really try to sell their lines and drive their performances home. The writing, however, doesn't help them at all. It almost seemed as if the script was just very specific and the actors didn't really have room for things to flow off naturally. All in all, I don't think this short film is awful. I'd definitely say it is lacking in quite a couple areas, and while I wish the best for the AC Motion Studios, I don't think that this is going to achieve what they wanted to. I want to see this story get brought out in a cinematic light. I know there is definitely a way it could work. This just isn't its full potential. In case by some miracle anybody on the team is actually watching this video, please don't take this as me complaining. This is meant to be constructive criticism for a story I genuinely care for and want to see grow. Ignoring its disconnection to the original Twitter story, I still can't give this film too much praise aside from the visuals and sometimes decent acting. After everything, I'd say the best score that fits this would probably be a 6 out of 10.